date. And just gotta give it a minute. Don't know if we're live right now. It's like 71 degrees tomorrow. Ugh.
Yeah, I'm up for that. You're not?
I get up early in the morning before the sun is out, so I gotta dress for the future of that day, and I find it annoying. I think at the time for it, 1 hour, maybe it probably won't matter that much.
Yeah. It's probably a lot warmer where you are than me anyway, though, too. This will be the first time we've had really nice weather here in a long time. But it's never been very bad. It's never been really bad weather. It's just not that good.
I think it's gonna go then. I don't see OBS confirming anything for me. But the timer. Welcome to episode 17 of the Anime4All podcast. Let me get that number correct. Just want to make sure. We've done 17 of these things.
I think we've even gotten 17 views, though.
That's a little bit sad. That's so sad. We've been at this for a while, almost half a year. Only 17 views.
We didn't get the showing we got for Dragon Ball Super. We had a pretty good show for that.
Well, I mean, future shows are out there. Read or Die being one of them.
Yeah.
So continuing on with this episode, we have the start of Gentle versus Deku, and we pretty much start the episode off with Deku going to get rope for his class performance because they broke it during their hard training, their hardcore training. We can pretty much skip everything in the very beginning because it's just like we're them just rehashing what they did, just confirming that they gotten better. Everybody's getting better at their parts. The real important piece or spectacle of this entire episode is Gentle versus Deku, or Gentle Criminal versus Deku, but that's neither here nor there. But it was really interesting. I guess it was kind of funny. I guess you could say. Not ironic, but funny nonetheless. That Deku ends up meeting Gentle for the first time on the street after he's coming out of a warehouse store. Oh, before we continue, because something else I just remembered this too. Before all this happened, Hasume gave Deku the gloves that he was talking to her about. I want to bring this up now because we're going to mention it later on in the fight, and it's not going to make any sense. But I guess that's also important that he got the new gloves that he was talking about. All Might's impressed at how compact they are because apparently they weren't compact in his day. I guess it kind of shows how good of an inventor she is. Back to like the first encounter, Deku meets Gentle. Gentle is in disguise, trying not to give away too much, but because of his fanaticism with Golden Tips tea, ends up letting more than he should have slip. And Deku ends up finding out that he's Gentle. Again, another one of those situations where it shows that Deku is really intelligent, but for whatever reason, they don't use his intelligence a lot. It's mostly just him brute forcing things. But
Deku's intelligence?
yes.
I think they use it. You don't think so?
Not a lot. I think earlier on they used it a lot, but as he got his quirk, he's done some really interesting things with it, but not a lot. Not on the level that I think, as smart of a character they've shown him to be. He hasn't done a lot. Granted, he hasn't been in a lot of fights by himself. And this is going to be his first attempt at that. I mean, I guess his first fight was just like it's kind of by himself, but not really. He had help from Eri, which is the battery. Uh, but
Yeah.
essentially, this is his first real fight by himself. Um, I guess
Well,
like hmm?
it's not the he had a. You, are you talking about whose real fight by themselves? Deku.
Yeah, I mean he's been in fights before, but he's never really been by himself. He's probably gone
What
in
about
first.
what
He's
about
probably
every tournament fight?
I don't really consider those like real fights. If anything, I
What,
mean those are more like tournament. I mean they're fights, but like I mean they're not the way I'm thinking about it. Like I like a fight that kind of like this kind of has a life or death situation at the end of it, versus
so
just a.
muscular.
I guess forget
Deku
about that.
versus muscular.
I forgot about that actually.
What about Deku versus Overhaul?
That wasn't a fight by himself. He had Eri.
Oh yeah. Well, he did all the fighting himself. He just had, but he had someone supporting him.
Well, I mean him by himself, but I forgot about Muscular. I did forget about that, which is weird
Yeah,
because that was a highlight.
that was like one of my favorite fights in the whole series.
I don't know. That's my favorite fight of the entire series. It
No.
was awesome, but I don't think it was my favorite fight entire. I don't even. I had to give that some thought to see what my favorite fight was. But I guess his second real fight. I'll say that his second real fight was somebody. Um, I will also say, considering the fact that Gentle is more of a gag character,
Hmm.
he's a lot more funny. I will say, for like, before I let you take over, for a character who was nothing more than like a very side-ish character, he's shown to be very, very smart, intelligent, and also very, very capable in a fight. It's
Infuriatingly so. I
it's
completely agree.
he it seems really interesting, which is kind of like why it's one of the small things I said before that I think you would like Gentle. Um, so I don't know how you feel about him right now, but I'm just gonna say this right now. Like from what I remember and what I don't remember, which is gonna be the most interesting part of this entire fight. Uh, Gentle has shown himself to be very capable, even though he's really very incapable at the same time. It's a very weird mix. He seems to be really good at fighting, but he seems to be very stupid at the same time.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's very weird. His application of his quirk is amazing. I would have never
Hmm.
thought to do some of things he's done, but then again he's old, so well, I mean he's 32. So he's not really old, but I mean he's up there. He's older. So
Oh my god, I'm 40.
they say you're 30 something.
Well, yeah, I was 30 something when you met me.
Moving on. I don't know what to say to that. Let's just move on. But I guess what's your thoughts on I guess Gentle and this whole thing now that you've seen like him from the very beginning till now?
Um, well, a couple things. One, I found Gentle to be infuriatingly capable. I thought he was doing a really good job against Deku.
Inferior and capable. What do you mean exactly?
He was doing a good job, and like I didn't want him to. I wanted Deku to like trounce him and kick the crap out of him, but I was like, wow, like this guy is like he has such a strong defensive skill, and Deku's like it's a good counter for Deku because it's like versatile but mostly defensive in nature. But Deku's like
Deckless.
skill.
You calling my
I
boy
know.
Dickless? Is that what you're doing right now, man? Is that what we're doing right now?
His ability is so um
Gotcha.
his ability is so reckless by like nature. Do you know what I mean? Yes, you
hmm
did. It's so reckless by nature that like he's just like, yeah, keep using it. Every time you use it, like you seem to put yourself at risk. And I can just kind of deflect it back at you. And like he's like all of his attacks that have hit Deku have been, rebounds. And he doesn't seem like um he doesn't have a good answer to it. You know what I mean? He's like when someone doesn't want to fight me, like this is like I mean, if anything, like if you had to take this fight and make it stand out, this is the first time Deku faced somebody that didn't want to fight him back. Like this guy's not actually interested in fighting Deku.
But yeah. I guess it has a lot to do with his own character though. Like he just really wants to make a show out of everything. He's shown that he's not. He's shown already that he's not malevolent. But
He's
um,
pretty. He's shitty.
No, he hasn't really done anything. He hasn't killed anybody. He hasn't hurt anybody. Shoot, if anything that he's done, he's like he's a villain, but he's only a villain by name. I want to say he's only really a villain by name. He calls himself a villain, but he hasn't done anything that like in this world of villains, if anything, which is why the people don't pay much attention to him in the first place, because he does videos online, but nobody seems to like take him seriously. I mean, even you didn't take him seriously all that long ago. You probably still don't. But at the
I
same
still
time, it's
don't
like
take him seriously, but he's doing a better job than I thought he was going to.
he's only a villain by name. He hasn't hurt anybody. He hasn't killed nobody. He hasn't even put nobody in a hospital as of yet. But it's just one of those things where it's like uh, he takes on the villain name, but he hasn't done anything really that bad. He's stolen stuff, but he's only stolen for like maybe a meter and then laid them down. And he got caught by the police and then disappeared. Like, I
Hmm.
mean, granted, I mean that might have be the that might be the incompetence of the police force, but still, I mean, from the sounds of it, he's done this a lot. He's done this a lot. He's got videos online that he's done, just, I guess, stuff like this, and he's never gotten caught once. And on top of that, as far as I can tell from what they've said about him, he hasn't done anything like Chisaki, or if you want to go even for like one of the lower brow villains. I mean, the unnamed ones that we see, like the
Hmm.
giant kaiju thing. They've destroyed buildings, but he hasn't done a dang thing. Like at
Yeah.
least property wise. If anything, he's really one of the lower tier villains in the first place. But I don't even know if I would consider him a villain. That's also from what he's shown here, and also what I know about him in the future. But like, he hasn't done a lot. I mean, now if he killed somebody, then yeah, it's like shoot, somebody needs to stop him. But at this point, he's just playing around. I mean, he's serious. He has a mission, but at the same time, it's more levels. It's like one of those guys that you see that you want to see more of. You don't want necessarily for him to get defeated. You just want to see what he's gonna do. Before he gets caught or whatever. But
Yeah, but it's in classic Deku fashion. I actually do really want to see Deku succeed because like Deku always like turns his like situations into like something really epic.
I mean, I guess with him succeeding and just him becoming better, we see the upgrade to his costume. Um, for instance, we go in a flashback showing that Deku talked to Hatsume some time ago that we did not see, and say that
Yeah.
he wanted to find a way to fine tune his Delaware Smash because it's a front area damaging move, but he has no control over it. Which I guess is an interesting thing to him sit there and say that he has no control over it. But we see like All Might just do punches like it's no bad business, and he somehow is able to direct things. But then again, All Might's a more accomplished hero versus Deku. Um,
Yeah.
so like and I guess in a real interesting way, it's like he's learning what he needs to do to be able to do what All Might does. And he's found a way. Is pretty much he's turned the gloves, which I think is really cool. I forgot that he did this. I don't know why I forgot this. It's probably one of the cooler things he's done to his costume. Um, I can't wait to see what else he does to his costume. But I don't know, like besides the gloves, I don't know what else he does. But uh, his gloves pretty
I
much
do
turn.
like the glove. Like I do like that ability. I don't know why it's so necessary.
Basically what it comes down to. Deku said he wants to be able to throw small but strong concussive forces. He wants to be able to throw wind, and he wants to be able to do it like what's like look at the wind dude from during the tournament. I don't think he's done any small like wind things, but from the way it looks, he's able to control his wind and he's able to get the currents to do what he wants to. Deku essentially said that his Delaware force is so strong that he has no way to control it. So the wind those little tunnel things in his hand allows, I guess, from the way I guess his like the smash works, I guess it sucks in air and then blows it out. That's the only thing I can think is the fact that like when he does that, the wind just comes out of his hand. And, he sucks the wind in and it comes right out of his hand. So like that's the only way I can think about it is the fact that the that little radial thing on his hand just like pretty much brings it in and then he's able to launch it at like such a
Oh yeah, I totally get like what it's supposed to do, but I'm not sure why he couldn't have just done that without it.
He's not,
Like I think
as I said before,
All Might did stuff like that.
I mean, like I said before, All Might's more successful. He's more of All Might's a success. Deku isn't yet. He isn't like, Deku hasn't done a lot. You know, All Might has. So All Might's probably done a lot more to allow him to do some of the things. I mean, All Might has stated before that Deku should not become lenient on support items, but it's a good thing that he's doing it now because like, he needs to be able to do things without damaging property. Deku's also said that he can't even use 20% without hurting himself or at least having creaks in his body. So in a real situation, it's cool. Is it necessary? No, if Deku would just to learn to control it and maybe be able to do the forces, do the Air Force, which is what he's calling it, Delaware Smash Air Force,
Mm-hmm.
um, which is what he's calling it now. Granted, I don't think All Might's done anything to that extreme concentration. I've seen All Might do Delaware Smashes, but I don't think they were. I know he's able to do projectile attacks, but I don't think they were ever to that extent, like where it was just a small air bubble that's coming out and hits you in the face. And it's very quick. Now I could be wrong. Maybe he's done it on the show. I just don't remember. I don't think All Might's ever done something that concentrated, has he?
Um,
I know he can do it.
I thought he did. I thought he had a shot. He did where he shot with a long distance impact thing.
I know he probably hasn't, but I don't think it's been that compact, was it? I could be
No,
wrong.
I felt like I think in the situation that he used it, it was like didn't need to be that compact. But I just can't remember a lot about the moment. I just kind of remember him taking a. I mean, he only how many fights has All Might been in that we've seen? We saw the video recorded flashback one. We saw him take out a Nomu, and we saw him fight All for One, right?
Hmm.
So I guess it would have to be one of those, but I don't know which one
But
it is.
that's the thing. I don't remember him. Did he do a projectile against All for One? I don't think he did one. Did he?
Right, so maybe he did. Nomu, he only did one series of punches. So I don't know.
Well,
Maybe
every
I'm wrong.
attack that he did on Nomu was a physical I remember that one. Every hit and blow that he did was a physical contact. He did not do long range attacks, and probably because Nomu could probably absorb it, and he didn't want to chance it. Um,
Yeah, the Nomu was needed some full on. Also, there was no reason to. The Nomu needed to be full on punched. Like there was no call for him to do some sort of exotic or
I'm trying to think.
roundabout attack like that.
I remember All Might when he was in his deformed state. Well, All for One, he had his fist out, but I think that was just to block the attack that All for One sent out. So I don't think that was a projectile of his own fruition. I think maybe it happened during a movie. I don't know. I know he's done faraway attacks before, but I don't think they were ever like what Deku did. I don't think they were what Deku did. I think he did long range attacks, but I don't think they were like. I think if anything, during that one attack and earlier on when All Might was still a hero, was still active one. There was that one where he changed the wind and everything like that. Changed the weather. That was a projectile move, but that wasn't like that was when he fought the slime and then he sent the slime flying. But that wasn't like a concentrated bullet. That was a that was just like air pressure surrounding All Might. He was just so great and everything like that that the weather changed. So I don't think that
The
was
other problem with like referencing All Might's attacks is that we didn't really see his fight with um like the camera flashback, but we really see it when it's over and him telling everybody that not to fear, and like a couple shots of him saving lives and stuff. And all the other fights he was in, like were like
Jock.
yeah.
Why is your mic sound muffled?
The mic was a little bit far away from me.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure what was happening. I thought maybe it was something else. Okay.
No worries. So he all the fights that we really see him go through are typically fights where like time was like of the essence. Like he only had so much time that he could spend in his form. We never get to see him like in a prime fight where like I don't know where you can take your time with it. You know what I mean? Like there is no reason for Deku to think that his power is going to run out if he doesn't hurry up. And he doesn't have to like barge in and go face first into the fight the same way that All Might really needed to do. You know what I mean? Because his strategy was compromised by the fact that he was going to run out of his ability to hold his form soon.
Well, the thing with Deku,
So
and I think it's been the reason why he even added the like the rims on his on his gloves anyway. Deku already stated that he has really hard control over his power anyway. He's only learned how to control 8% at any given time, and he
right,
only just now learned that he can force out 20%. Um,
that sounded dirty.
only you, Jock, only you. But he only just learned recently that he can use 20% for a couple of seconds. So in his mind, if anything, Deku's thinking that like his Delaware Smash is already really powerful, but because he doesn't know how to like funnel it, he needs some outside support. And Deku knows that he's already said this before. Even Gran Torino's even said that it's great that Deku wants to train, but no villain's gonna really wait around, wait for him to get good. It's like Deku
Mm-hmm.
has to figure out ways to enhance his abilities right now as he's learning. So that way, whenever he doesn't need them anymore, he can do what he needs to do. He can't be 100% until his body is capable of handling the strain.
Right.
So as unnecessary as you think the rims on his hands is,
Mm-hmm.
I think at the end of the day, what we're really getting to is like Deku's his final hero suit, and whatever that looks like is probably going to include those additions to his hands. I already think that also going to happen is we've already seen the final parts of some parts of his costume, like the Iron Souls, for instance. Hatsumi brings the
Mm-hmm.
fact that like she can't wait to see like what the Iron Souls would do if they were combined with this. Whatever that means, I have no idea. It seems kind of cool when she brings it up. And she would
Right.
know because she's the one that designed the Iron Souls to begin with. So we don't know what they're capable of doing other than enhancing Deku's feet so he can kick. Uh, but I guess another thing too is like is the Iron Souls really necessary for Deku's feet? No, not really, because All Might can kick at full force and doesn't hurt himself. So Deku has to
Mm-hmm.
figure out ways to be able to be able to use full force if he needs to, but also without hurting himself. That kind of comes at the cost of like Deku getting a new quirk when he's in middle school, and then him learning how to use it in high school, versus other kids who had their quirks since they were 4 and learn what they're capable of doing at that stage of their life. So like Deku's gonna have some disadvantages because he's gonna need support. Well, I guess he's not gonna need support. I don't. He's gonna think he needs them because he needs to be able to, like I said before, he wants to be able to throw out pinpoint bullets, so that way that they're quick enough that they can hit somebody. Because Deku isn't 100% confident in it without it. He wants to be able to do as little damage as he possibly wants to. We already seen pretty much Deku can't fly without Eri fully charging his quirk, so that's another thing.
I think it's. I think the point that you focused on that line is really, really, really like smart of you to like pick that line out as one of the more significant ones because like when you think about there's a few reasons beyond what you're saying. One of them is to point out that the support items are getting really good. One of them is to point out one of the fundamental differences between Deku and All Might is that he will be using support items. You know what I mean? But I think an also additional one that goes back to a conversation we had last week was it kind of also highlights All Might's like need to like All Might's like a little bit obsolete right now. You know what I mean? And he's like, you know what I mean? He's sitting there going like, wow, like support small now, and Deku's all like, okay, boomer.
Well, I mean, I think like of anything, I would say that Power Loaders probably was their like support tech when they were younger, and maybe he didn't know how to do certain things. I mean, he was the one that said that Hatsune has potential. So like,
Mm-hmm.
if anything, I would think that Power Loader was a support item tech because he is in that lab and he is the one that controls that lab. So he
Mhm.
has to be a support item. Dude. For instance, I think he is because his I'm not sure what his quirk is 100%, but he's inside of a gigantic like bulldozer thing half the time. So I don't know like if that's a support item or not. I think it's got to be. I
Mhm.
don't think it's his quirk. Uh, so it's one of those things where like yeah, like All Might, All Might may have made like a comment saying that they were smaller than he used to because I mean, according to All Might, he said at one point in time he definitely wanted to use support items because he wanted to be able to do things differently, but he realized that they were clunky and unnecessary for him. They got in
They're
his way.
unnecessary, but also like they broke because he's too much.
I think did he say that? Did he say that in this one, or was that in the movie?
This one.
Okay, so I said the anime. Okay, I just want to make sure. Okay, yeah, they got in his way and he broke whenever he used them. Also, I think that all has a lot to do with the fact that like All Might was capable of using all his power at once. Deku was only just now being able to get 20% for a couple seconds.
Mhm.
So a support item for Deku probably would mean a lot more than a support item for All Might. Because I don't know when he even asked for support item. I think he even said that Deku's idea. He wanted to do that at some point, but nobody could build a support item to help him do that. So he essentially what he said is that support items are good and all, but if you and you say like other heroes had support items, and then whenever that support item disappeared, they were incapable of helping anybody out. So it's one of those
Mhm.
things where it's like he believes in them, but at the same time, I think he wants Deku to be able to use all for one, a one for all at its fullest potential without any hindrances. So this is one of those things like yeah, there are different vast differences between Deku and All Might, and unfortunately for Deku, he has to be able to use something to help him out so he can give him that edge, such as like a long range attack.
Mhm.
Deku was having the hardest time trying to figure out how to hit an enemy from far away, and probably had a lot to do with the fact that he broke his finger, so he didn't want to use them anymore. So I guess it took
Mhm.
somebody like All Might telling him that I was going to tell you about this later on when you have finally managed to get 15%. But you can do a projectile attack. You have the ability to force wind pressure in any way direction you want. So essentially, Deku's getting to the point where he might be able to change the weather if he were to train hard enough. Whenever that
That's
point
awesome,
comes,
isn't it?
I mean, yeah, I mean that is quite awesome. But like, whenever that time comes, I don't know. Like, there's really no guarantee. We don't know when he's capable of doing that or how close he is to being able to do that. Because at 20%, he's capable of throwing wind pressure. That's actually quite amazing. That means freaking All Might was capable of doing that. And I guess he now brought another point too. Going back to All Might, is that All Might revealed not only to Deku but to the audience that he hadn't been using 100% of One for All this entire time because if he did, he'd destroy the world.
Yeah.
So that's one of those things. So it's one of those small details that, duh, that makes sense, but you didn't think about at the time because it's a show and you're watching it as it's happening versus thinking about the fine minutia in between it all.
Mhm.
Um, but I guess yeah, with this fight, we see Deku actually handling Gentle as much as Gentle's handling him. Uh, Unfortunately, Deku doesn't have his Iron Souls and stuff like that, so he probably can't go all out like he could if he had the Iron Souls. This is
Yeah.
my at least that's my assumption. Like I said, Hazumi brought the fact that she couldn't wait to see those things brought together. I don't even know what that means. If I'm being legitimately honest, that's very vague in my opinion. But
What was the line?
at least she brought in a flashback that when he got the gloves, she mentioned something about the Iron Souls, or Deku mentioned something about the Iron. I forgot what it was, but it was something about he couldn't wait to get this onto the costume so he could figure out how it would change how his Iron Souls will work, or something like that, or how his fighting style with Iron Souls will work.
Oh, because he was trying to figure out how to use his shoot kicking technique in combination with the air blast. I thought.
I guess that makes sense. But I think it doesn't because I don't know how that would work. Because I mean, he's assuming that he might be able to kick the air bubble, but I don't know if he could. Then again, this is an anime. He probably could if he wanted to. So I'm not even gonna dwell on that.
Well, if he can, if they figure out how to do it, then you
No,
have to remember that instead of if they figure out how to do it, and then you have to figure out like you have to be like if like flicking your finger, like you and me, like we possibly could, we still couldn't really damage somebody. We can annoy them, but not damage them. But you and me, if we kick somebody, we could do some real damage. So if you think of it that way, it's like, holy crap, like I get it now. You know what I mean? Like the it could be the damage equivalent of the difference between kicking somebody and flicking them in the face. So it'd be just like what he's doing right now, but like maybe like multiple times more damage than that.
I guess I'm just trying to
That's
think about it like on a conceptual level, like how that could help. Because unless Deku's Iron Souls are capable of making him fly, um, even like a long range attack like that, I mean, they're helpful against long range enemies, but at the same time, long range enemies are long range enemies. Like they'll have multiple tricks up their sleeve. Deku just has the flicking of his finger.
right. But
If
if
it
you could do
looks,
the same thing,
hmm?
if you could do that with a kick, like that'd be pretty intense. Like the same thing, like the air, like it would be 100 times more powerful. Like he might be able to. It might be like an enemy beating move to do a kick with the same type of approach.
I guess, but that would have been assuming that Hasumi wanted to get her hands on the Iron Souls to change them. But I'm not saying that she doesn't want to, but I don't know if that was the implication. Because unless you're talking about something completely different, it sounds like to me, Hatsumi wants to get her hand, or Deku wants to get the Iron Souls to Hatsumi again to see if she can amplify them or something. Because the only thing I would think, I'm not saying you're wrong about the whole like damaging thing and enemy being moved. I'm just trying to figure out like the only way I would think the kick would even come into play is if Deku was capable of not only flicking the air, but he was able to kick it before it landed. And I
Oh, well, why does he have to flick his foot? Like, why can't you just kick and the air comes out of his foot?
well, the main reason you got a point there, but the main reason why Deku even has the directional things on his gloves is because he didn't like the fact that whenever he did the Delaware Smash, um, it like was like it had like a cone effect. Like it just like it went forward, but it was like a wave. It wasn't like a controlled thing. He wasn't able to just like direct it at something and it just hit that area. Whenever he did it before the gloves were in the we saw it in a tree. We saw him in the forest. Like it went out from him and then it hit like a cone area and it just damaged a lot of trees. It didn't just damage one tree.
Yeah.
That was the main reason why Deku got those gloves in the first place. Now the whole concept of him kicking with that foot, that's also good. But I don't think Deku wants that. I think he wants to be able to hit something pinpoint. He wants to be able to hit something and not hit anything else around it.
Right. So if he has that modification, then he should be able to get all of the advantage of that decimating attack with the pinpoint accuracy.
Well, I mean that's assuming the cones help the feet. I don't know if it does. It's a very odd thing. But I mean, if it does, I mean, Tatsumi thought of so far ahead.
That is what they established that they're working on seeing if they can do that.
I don't know. I thought he said he couldn't wait to get them together. I didn't think he meant that he couldn't wait for her to augment the feet.
Oh, so that's how I understood it. Was like he was saying this is awesome for my hand. I can't wait to get it on the feet. It looks like he still had the.
Well, actually, I guess now you think about it, and now you said that out loud, it kind of does make more sense. That maybe he was going to get Hatsumi to augment his feet.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that makes more sense then. If
It's a
that
completely different prospect because it needs built to be much more heavy duty than his hands because it's like 100 times more powerful.
is it, I guess I guess I didn't take it like that because that was confusing me because it seemed really vague to me. But I mean, if your taking of it means that if he wanted her to put that on his feet, then that makes more sense. That means if he wanted to, while he was falling, he could kick in a air bullet versus shooting it, which would take less time to wind up.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess yeah, that would make sense. I mean, if that's what they were implementing, if that's what they were insinuating. I don't know what they were insinuating. But your
Mhm.
insinuation makes a lot more sense because I'm trying to figure out how he would like flick the ball and then kick it. That's what I was thinking. I was like, how is he going to do that? Like that doesn't make any sense. The ball doesn't the air bullet doesn't even have a physical form. So I'm sitting trying to figure out this is anime, so they could probably make it work, but that's still confusing. And then you said they're probably going to augment the fields. Like, oh, okay, that makes more sense. You can kick an air bullet that way. Okay, that makes more sense. Thank you for thank you for inciting me on that because I was so confused. I didn't know if that's what if they're implicating. I mean, if that's what they're implicating, shoot, yeah, fine, go for it. I mean, I've seen fan art of Deku's final suit, and a lot of fans have really cool ideas. Essentially, a lot of people are saying that Deku's costume is gonna start incorporating more metal into it, so it's gonna look freaking cool. Like by the end of it. 'Cause, I mean, one thing about I saw one costume idea and I liked it so much because Deku had a mask and like the sockets where his eyes would be that we normally see him in the current costume, like they're black, but when he's using his power, they glow green. So they're just got this like they got this speed line coming out of his eyes, and it looks cool. Like it's a really cool final costume idea. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, speaking of final costume, we're not even at the end of the series yet, so whatever it is, I can't wait to see what his final costume looks like. It's really interesting that like in this show, I can look forward to the future in terms of his final costume look versus like another show that I'm looking forward to the final form. In a real way, like Deku's final form is going to be his final costume.
Well, and also him in adult form. I
Well, I
think
mean,
adult Deku would look considerably more badass than kid Deku.
I don't know. It depends. It depends on like what direction the creator takes the design. It's all up to like how the creator initially like, sees his main character in the future. Um, a lot of times that looks bad for some people. A lot of times it looks freaking cool. Sometimes it takes a while for somebody to get used to a new look, but that's all opinion. But guess we talked a lot about the fight. I mean, not much. You say like as you said before, like Gentle is infuriatingly skilled. For a clumsy guy, he's infuriatingly skilled. He's used his quirk already in ways that kind of boggle the mind. Like I didn't even think that you could like make the air around you elastic. Like
Mm-hmm.
think about that. What would you have to be doing at the time for that to even be an accident?
Nothing.
Like that's amazing. Like he somehow touched the air molecules and made them rubbery.
Yeah.
He took a still beam and changed the properties of it so it could be like rubbery. He's able to jump on the air literally and just
Mm-hmm.
bounce off into where he wants to be. Like that'd be like if he was actually a serious bad guy, he'd probably be really hard to capture. Just on the concept alone that he can make anything he touches elastic, only for a certain amount of time. But I mean, something that like that's still ridiculously dangerous because like that those couple of seconds could be the seconds that determines if he gets away or not. So it's like one of those interesting ideas to think about. And I guess also we end this episode off with LeBron saying that he's very tenacious, just like you. Maybe I should use my quirk now. So we
Which
do
is a
get it.
big thing.
We do figure out she's going to do something. So that's interesting. We also do see LeBron does the entire fight though, crying as Gentle is having a hard time with Deku. Kind of almost cements the whole idea that she's in love with this guy. Like
Oh, totally. She
very,
idolizes him.
very,
But
very, very in love with him. um,
the weird thing about it too is like Gentle seems really out of his league fighting him. Like he looks like he can't hold up to Deku's power, the level of Deku's power goals to get away. And he seems very much out of his league, but at the same time, daring escape seemed to be his specialty. And I feel like there's like a 0% chance that like he thinks he's worried that he's not gonna be able to get away. He seems very, very like at ease with his ability to get out of the situation without a flaw.
well, I mean, we take the concept that like he's been doing this for a while and he's made YouTube videos and it took him a while to gain a following.
Hmm.
And considering that no cop has actually caught him or even wants to capture him, as far as I can tell, the cops don't even think he's that much of a threat.
Hmm.
So I mean, even at the
But beyond that, it even seems like maybe um, nobody knew what his power was. And Deku, who is like the hero and villain scholar, seems like he wasn't fully aware of what the power, or even had much of an idea what the power was.
I mean, also that could make sense too. But at the same time, I honestly, when he went during that whole escape from the grocery store, which was all the publicity stunt to like expose the corporate government that they're selling people like expired yogurt. The
Yeah.
cops didn't even seem that interested in capturing Gentle. Yeah, they were there to arrest him, but at the same time, they kind of let him go really easily. Like it didn't seem like there was much of a fight. You know, they kind of let him go. Yeah, granted, he threw a smoke bomb, but yeah, think he would run in after him, like before he threw the smoke bomb down. They didn't even seem to
Right.
chase him. So it was like one of those things where I think the cops or general public don't, regardless of his quirk being known or not. It
Mhm.
seems the general public doesn't see Gentle as a threat,
Mhm.
and through his actions, we can also see that he isn't that much of a threat. The only real problem he has is that he's very easily, you can lose him pretty easily. Like yeah, he is definitely a master escape artist, and maybe that's all he's really trying to do. Because he doesn't seem like that bad of a guy. His intentions and what he's doing are kind of bad, but it seems like, at least from the ideology that he has, he's not
Mhm.
trying to hurt anybody. I mean,
Right.
even that steel beam that Deku had stopped, Gentle
Mhm.
was already planning to stop it. Well, according to him, quote unquote, he was gonna stop it if Deku hadn't caught
Right.
it. So I mean, we don't know if he was going to, if that was a lie or not, or he was gonna really let that guy have it. We don't know because
Right.
Deku stopped it before it even fell. So it's one of those things where like it's a yes, but this would have happened. We don't really know because the events didn't play out that way. Uh,
Right.
so it's one of those things like I can only take what I see as a description of what the character is like, and so far he hasn't done anything truly that evil. He's stolen things. I mean, yeah. I mean, how many people can say they haven't stolen anything in their life? Um, he's on YouTube just trying to get a name for himself, uh, which is apparently working for him because of La Brava. Uh,
Right.
he's literally recording his fight with Deku right now. Like he is literally telling La Brava to not stop filming. So she's literally filming everything that's happening right now. So if
Right.
anything, if this fails, um, if this goes online, he will literally have the notoriety of fighting somebody from UA, and on top of
That
that,
is definitely true.
fighting the one, and also fighting the one whose powers are really similar to All Might's. So like, I mean, he's already got that going for him. If this goes live on YouTube, like if anything, he's got that going for him. I mean, fighting not so much as running away, but still tomato tomato.
Right.
He's stopping Deku from moving around. It's like something that I honestly thought would have been possible because Deku learned how to jump around and move pretty quickly, but he managed to stop Deku. Granted, another caveat is about Deku did.
He didn't stop Deku. He's inconvenient. Deku is still very much in the game.
I'm not saying that Deku's lost. I'm just saying that when Deku first jumped at him, granted, he didn't know his quirk was, so I had to give you that. When he jumped at him, he stopped Deku's momentum, just dead flat. I mean, flat. He just stopped his momentum flat.
But
Deku,
that's what he does. That's literally the core of his power.
I'm just saying he stopped Deku from moving, at least once. Not many villains have done that. They've caught Deku, they managed to throw him into a wall, but they've never just flat out stopped him from moving.
Hmm.
So as long as little as a concept, as little as a feat that is, I mean, he's at least done it. But
Yeah.
yeah,
I
but he
feel like
hasn't.
he could have done that to All Might or anybody else too, though. That's what he does.
I don't know. It
That's how you
depends on
do,
how
Jeremy.
much force All Might could exert. I don't know, like what the, I don't know what the maximum amount of force it would take to rip that apart. Because as interesting and as convenient as his quirk is, I think he even said that he can only make something rubbery for a couple of seconds or something like that. I don't know like what the maximum amount of force you could use to
Oh,
stop that.
I thought he was referring to his sex life.
Why would he be referring to his sex life?
Well, he's got this girl that like is all after him, but he's kind of old and gray. And he said he can only make something rubbery for a couple seconds, and I was just like, oh. And then he pulls that screw out, which is like like kind of a pun metaphor anyway. And you see the screw's kind of wobbly and kind of looks like something junk like. And
Speaking of metaphors, we're going to go into this whole thing. That episode was they had 69 minutes left, and I'm just sitting there like, really, really? They know what they're doing here. They know what they're doing here.
totally do.
69 minutes. Seriously.
Why was Deku having so much trouble with that steel beam? That seems like something he should have been able to handle, like no problem.
You mean just lifting it?
Yeah, like it was pinning him down.
Um, I really don't have an answer for you for that one. The only thing I could say is plot. I think they I think they needed to maybe pin him down just so he would use the projectile attack. But then again, he was already in the air and getting away. I mean, he definitely didn't have more reason. Like, I mean, that was more reason to use a projectile attack than just getting pinned down by a steel beam. I really couldn't tell you.
I mean,
I
even if he caught it and just made it fall forwards instead of backwards towards that, bystander, I just don't. It was a stupid like chest like they called that one in for gentle. Like he should have been able to lift it. He should have been able to push it forward and deflect it.
well,
He should have been able to do that in the first place without even being in that situation where he was
okay.
pinned
I'm gonna
underneath.
play devil's advocate here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Regardless of the ability that Deku has, I think he
Mm-hmm.
caught that thing while it was falling down. Now, I know I'm gonna say there's a lot of ways out of that. There's definitely a lot of ways out of that civilian getting hurt. But I
Mm-hmm.
think Deku even stated that he was trying to make sure that it didn't hit the rest of the steel building. Now, I will say, if that steel building
Why?
could have been knocked down just by having a steel beam knocked into it, that was a very fragile building and did not meet up to code. But
Yeah, that line made no sense to me because like
we're gonna go on the fact that the building it was up to code. So the only thing I would say is that I think Deku, like usual, as I said before, Deku is supposed to be really intelligent, but during certain moments, he doesn't exert that intelligence. I
mm-hmm.
think it's one of those. This is one of those situations that it's just anime plot. They wanted to figure out a way to force Deku to use the bullet move, and
Mm-hmm.
other than Gentle just getting away, which he's capable of doing, we've seen him very
Mm-hmm.
quickly jump on rubbery air to get away. I think they wanted a more physical reason, so they had Deku holding onto that steel beam as it fell on him at full force as a way to prevent Deku from moving.
Right.
As Did it make any sense? Not really. Does it make sense for the plot and what's going on with the story? Kind of. It's just a way to inconvenience the hero, which is usually what they do. Deku is the main person in this fight right now. Um, a lot of
I
times
feel
during
like the
this,
writers aren't taking the fight seriously, which is a shame because they built up something that I was ready to. When when Deku was like saying like this fight's about a lot more than me, what I mean? And they do these flashbacks to like people talking and like people what they're doing right now and stuff like that. Much this means to them and how they're like how hard they've worked on it and how much it means like for them to do this for the people that are going to receive the show and how much this means that the show's even happening to the general public and the public feeling safe and how tenuous the situation is that Gentle doesn't have to like be a threat to anybody. He just has to set off an alarm and then the whole show is ruined. And the fact that I still don't fully buy that Gentle's the real villain here of this. I think Gentle like disabling the alarms could open up the door for a whole bunch of other. So there's that too. You know what I mean? That like even the alarm like not like going off like even if they catch catch him, you know what I mean? And all he's done is disable the alarm. Like, I don't know, that seems like a big problem as well. There's just a lot of opportunity here for like a serious threat from Gentle himself, like a story-based threat, you know what I mean? Where you just like, no, nobody's lives are in danger, but like, I don't know, like showing that they can't even have this thing now without villains threatening, serious villains, you know, later on and stuff like that. Like, there's a lot of situations like that that I think are definitely like players that have skin in this. I'm ready to take this seriously, but I still don't think that the writers are seriously because I see things like that, like these poorly created moments. I know this show, and I know that when they're taking something seriously, like the rating is fantastic, and I know I feel like comfortable enough with that to say that the writing, the poor writing of this fight alone, makes me feel like he's a distraction for something that's going on under the scenes right now that's going to rise up and make a lot more sense when it happens, especially given the fact that he's fighting them. And the series should have at least 5 more episodes to go, and I just can't see this guy episodes without it building into something.
I didn't get that last part because I got muffled.
Without it building up to something more epic. I feel because and he's just going to be the nuisance that like leaves the opening for it.
I don't know if Deku being pinned down is like a bad writing decision. I think it's a probably a poor choice. But like from where they
Well, not
were,
him being pinned down. Pinning him down is fine, but the way he was pinned down and some of the choreography and writing in this episode in general is just like it's not as good as some of the incredible things that happen on this in this series.
I get that, but I mean, as a weird decision as that is to have like still being following him just to pin him down just to use like that new move. I mean, that's a weird choice. I'm pretty sure there's probably other ways they could have had that happen, but like I'm not defending the decision that they had to to have that happen to him. At the same time, I feel like it maybe has to fall in line with what Deku's shown he's capable of doing right now, and like he's shown to be capable. Don't get me wrong, but he hasn't really shown much. Like
Yeah.
he's supposed to be like the similar piece, well, the next similar piece. By this point, and it might come down to the fact that maybe we're expecting too much out of Deku because we've gone through this journey of 4 seasons or however many volumes of books this is at this point in the story. Um, we know Deku can force out 20% of all for one, one for all. But he's incapable of using it because it hurts him. Some people probably think that like why are we still at this whole crux of like Deku can't use some of his power without him hurting himself. And I would say
Yeah.
like maybe that's like maybe the bigger problem is the fact that like we haven't seen Deku really grow at all in terms of his physical capability. Because we got people like what's that belief from Bakugo? We got people like Tokiyami who's progressed his quirks so he can wear Dark Shadow now and is able to boost everything about him, essentially fixing some flaws about him. Personality that's not gonna fix, but like Dark Shadow's managed to augment his capabilities. Froppy, she's managed to gain a new ability in camouflage, so she's capable of doing more stealthy operations. So like I mean that's a plus. Uraraka has been working towards so she can use her quirk while feeling nauseous for prolonged periods of time. There are a lot of characters we've seen whose quirks have evolved, to a certain point, or they've done something to make their quirk a little bit more versatile. Um, and Deku hasn't really got that groove yet because he's still learning. He's still learning about his quirk right now, and a lot of people probably find that annoying. But at the same time, it's like I kind of accept it because it's like it's the progression of the character. We're not going to see gigantic leaps in power, not until it's necessary. Which is kind of why when he went from 5% to 8% in his fight with Kachan, it wasn't necessary for him to go 50 because like he wasn't supposed to win that fight, writing wise. Still find that stupid.
Right.
I feel like he really should have won that fight, but whatever. But it gave Bakugo a chance to really shine. So it's shown that Bakugo could take him on right now. Anyway, it depends on what happens in the future and what the plan for his character to change as well. But right now we can see that Bakugo can take on, Deku. Even though he had a problem with him, he can show that he could at least pin him down. So I mean, I guess it's one positive on his side,
Yeah.
but maybe a lot of the problems with the writing is that Deku is still in the infancy stage. He right now could only use 20%, and there's still at least 80% left of all for one. I mean, all one for all for him to obtain. But right now he's stuck at 20.
Mm.
So maybe it's that. Maybe that's what's going on here. Is like Deku is still in it, a literal hero in training right now, and he hasn't had the experience to deal with some of the stuff like somebody like Endeavor, Mount Lady, All Might, um, all these pro heroes. Like they have more experience than these little kids. So I think a situation like that, a pro hero probably handle that differently than Deku. So and
Yeah,
I
I
don't. So
agree with that.
I don't think it's. I mean, yes, it's a bad writing decision, but I think it's a bad writing decision in terms of the character versus a bad writing decision in terms of the story. I think they were making it because Deku was still learning and he still hasn't really figured out how he wants to fight. Because that's another thing too is that Deku hasn't figured out how he wants to fight yet. He's still learning in that phase too.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's a lot of issues with Deku right now, and I mean, I guess is that how it is until he gets older or we get to a certain point in the story. He'll probably still have these problems.
Hmm.
Um, so I don't really know what to say. Like, yeah, it's kind of infuriating. Deku got in the situation he's right now, but at the same time, I guess it's just really just to see his character, the gentle grow, see what he's all about. Because we still don't know much about him at all,
Hmm.
really. We don't know where he came from, if that's even relevant, or like why he's doing what he's doing, if that's even relevant.
Yeah. No, that makes sense to me. So, I don't know. It was sort of the pacing of the series has changed a lot. Like they're not trying to do so much with episodes. I'm curious what the girl's power is, because I thought the closest thing I got to a hint of what her power was when he left her behind. Like he got hit or distracted or something like that, and he left her behind, and she was falling to the ground, and she didn't seem worried about it, even though Gentleman wasn't like really in full control of what was happening. Um, but then they sort of like made it miraculous, and I think she like didn't she like just land on her feet like it was no big deal. It didn't turn out to be that. But I was like all excited. I was like, oh, like even if we don't find out what her power is right now, the fact that she's not concerned is going to hint. But then she just like landed. Oh, so I was a little disappointed about that. Her ability obviously is going to be some big deal because she's really considering using it. But I don't understand why it's a debate for her to use it in the first place. I'm like, why not just use your ability? Like everybody else, when the time comes, they just use it. Like, is there some sort of consequence to it? You know what I mean? That she needs to worry about because, like, it seems like it's a last resort kind of thing for her.
Well, how about this? I'm gonna go off on what we know, so I don't say anything that compromises this conversation.
Yeah.
So bear with me. Um, we know that quirks in this world, these powers, have activation requirements, right? Like it takes something to sometimes activate it, sometimes a little
Mm-hmm.
more than others. Um, so what's to say that maybe this activation requirement is what's really putting her in a situation. We don't really know the vast limit to like what activation requirement would be. Um, but we know that whatever it is, she's questioning whether she should use it now or not. And I supposed to bring up too, she didn't bring up using it until she was in Gentle's arms. So it might have something to do with Gentle. We don't really know that, and I'm gonna say this for sure, I don't even remember. If I'm being
Yeah.
honest. So I don't even remember what that there's an activation requirement, but I don't know what that activation requirement is. So
Yeah.
the fact that she didn't even bring it up until she was in Gentle's arms and Gentle was in trouble, kind of leads me to believe that it has something to do with him. Um, or maybe it has something to do with him doing something to her. I don't know. And someone's gonna take that out of context. I don't even care right now.
Yeah.
But there's always that. I mean, we know quirks have activation requirements. So I mean, a good example of this is Shigaraki. Shigaraki needs to have all his fingers on whatever he's trying to dissolve. So
Oh.
it's one of those, it could be one of those very small requirements, or it could be a huge one.
Hmm.
I'm not gonna make a guess because I'm pretty sure if I guess, I'm gonna probably nail on the head, and he'd be really mad at me. So I'm not gonna say anything. But whatever it is, yes, you're right. It's got to be really helpful and really powerful because if she's considering using it, that kind of gives a dead giveaway right there. It's very strong, whatever it is. Uh, guess that's about it.
Maybe maybe she takes the caffeine out of tea and turns it into, and it's such a sacrilege for a gentleman that she would never do it unless there was like no other choice.
I don't know what you said in between all that because I know you cut it out as soon as you got to the caffeine out of the tea. I feel like
I said
Discord had to censor you.
maybe she can take tea and pull its caffeine out and turn it into electrical, but she's afraid to do that because it ruins the tea, and she's afraid the gentleman won't love her if she's destroying tea.
Feels like such a stupid reasoning, but at the same time, with her character that we see right now, it probably would be too far fetched.
Yeah.
I mean, amongst all the stupid powers in this world, I mean, that wouldn't be too stupid, if anything.
Hmm.
I mean, with all the stupid powers that we've seen in this world. um,
Yeah.
trying to think here. I guess like I feel like if we are getting close, I feel like I know what they're gonna do, and it's gonna upset me. But I feel like what's gonna happen is they're gonna do the same thing they did to Chisaki at the end of season 3. They're gonna reveal a character that's gonna have some major story significance in the last episode.
Hmm.
Um, I'm saying that now because I've gone through the intro so many dang times. There's actually something I did not see before, and I'm actually really surprised I didn't see it. That character that I was talking about that they shown as a little kid, if I'm accurate, during the moment when you see Endeavor turn his back and he just turn looking at you, there's something that
Hmm.
shows up like a wing or something in like in a glow or something like that. I don't know why. I don't know why I didn't notice that till now, but it's there.
Hmm.
So like that's a little bit more of a hint that there's a character with a wing involved in that scene, and you can see him at the end. I guess I gave that
Hmm.
away. It's a he too, but no more of that. Just like that, there's a character there that we haven't seen in the anime yet, but they're showing him in the intro and in the outro. It's a very weird choice.
Well, not really. It's very typical of animes to do that.
I don't know concerning the importance of this character. It's a very weird thing to do.
Hmm.
Just gonna throw it
I'm
out there.
thinking, for example, of Trigon. Like the opening of Trigon is packed with spoilers and reveals if you just knew what to look for.
I get that, but Dragon's like a one series is a one season and done thing. It doesn't have like it doesn't have multiple seasons.
Yeah, that's a shame. But still, this I'm sure this intro and outro will disappear. You know.
I certainly will. I'm just sitting there. It's like it's bothering me because I know who it is and I can't say anything. And it's like I wish they hadn't done
Hmm.
that. But then again, it probably has to come to the fact that I know about this because I read the manga, and that's my own fault.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just one of those things. It's just like it's there, and I don't know why they're doing it, and I don't know whether this is going to end or how many episodes we got because he's a part of an arc I've been waiting to see animated yet again, and it looks like we might not be getting it till maybe October this year. If they confirm a season 5.
I don't know. This season, I know you like it, but you're also a huge fan. Like this season is weak, in my opinion, compared to the others, and especially if it doesn't end with a bang. Because, like I said, like I mean, they really took out Overhaul too easily, in my opinion. I think he was knocked out way too easily. And Gentleman, we're gonna need something else. Gentleman's not enough to carry this season to season 5 if they're really up in the air right now, because he's just I can't imagine that the fan base is excited about this.
I know a lot of fans who actually like this character. A lot of fans are like Chisaki, but well, on that whole overhaul thing, I particularly didn't like him, and this is just me. I particularly didn't like him because of all the hype there was around him. It was one of the main reasons why I went and actually read the thing. It was actually one of the main leading factors in terms of why why I read it. It wasn't really because I couldn't wait, as I made that joke before. That was also true. I really
Mm-hmm.
couldn't wait, but all the hype that I seen, and this wasn't even me going out of my way to find these people who are saying all this stuff. I was seeing
Mm-hmm.
it plastered everywhere. Friends I went to high school with who read this thing further than I have were all talking about Overhaul's the best character. He's the best villain. He's better than Stain. All this and that. And I'm like, and I'm sitting here like, I'm sitting like this like I love Stain. He's like one of my favorite villains of this entire freaking series.
Me too.
But when they're saying that he's better than Overhaul, I mean Overhaul's better than him. I'm like, I had to sit there and like, is this true or is this overhype? And I went and read it. I came out of it not really liking him. Um, and there's a difference between liking a villain and liking a villain. Like I like Stain
Mm-hmm.
because he's relatable. I can feel sorry for him. He has ideals that I can almost see that make sense.
Right.
He's not psychotic to a point. Like he becomes insanely psychotic near the end of his fight. That's because he's reaching for straws, trying to get out of here because he's trying to complete his mission, but also get out. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Somebody like Overhaul, this guy starts off essentially like the scum of the earth. We get a little backstory of him saying that he was brought in, because he was an orphan, yada yada. You feel bad for him as a kid. Um, and then you learn that he's been doing all this stuff to repay a guy who, first of all, said that you don't need to repay me. I was being nice. Um, so far going out of his way to say that you don't need to do this. This is dangerous. This is stupid. You're trying to do something that doesn't need to be done.
Mm-hmm.
I said before that the guy, the Yakuza boss, seemed more of a patient guy, a waiting guy, than anything else. He didn't seem to be in a rush for anything, which is weird considering he's a Yakuza. But I mean, maybe that's what some of the Yakuza are. Maybe that's really what a Yakuza boss is like. Maybe they're just that patient. I don't know. Uh, but it's one of those things where like you see Chisaki and he's fighting elements that are clearly out there for his best interest. By the end of the season, we find out that the reason why his father figure is in a coma is because he put him in that coma.
Mm-hmm.
That was where, like, you know what, you're not a good guy. You don't even have a good. I mean, he's a bad guy, but he doesn't have like good qualities about him. He doesn't seem human anymore at that point. Like he's so willing to try to repay this man that he's willing to almost kill him, and in fact killed him by the end of the season. Like, for me, it's like I liked Stain. I don't know what you like Stain for, but I like Stain because he was relatable. A lot of the things he did make sense. The hero side was corrupt, stuff like that. He made sense in the world that he was
Mm-hmm.
in. Shoot, he wanted to be a hero before he turned to villain or antagonist, whatever you want to call him. Like he he had morals. I guess what I'm saying. He had morals. He wasn't really willing to cross. He only
He had a
killed.
code.
He only killed the heroes that he thought were breaking a law. That's all he ever killed.
Maybe like the right word is he was honorable. Like,
I guess yeah. He didn't just randomly kill people. He sought out the people he believed needed to see justice.
yeah.
And just Shizaki just did whatever he wanted, for his own reasons. And part of that, him feeling extremely guilty for some guy being sympathetic with him, which is very
Mm-hmm.
weird. Kind of makes me think that he never had that kind of sympathy before. I don't know what his backstory is when he was like an orphan. I don't know what was up with that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of those things where like there's probably some things that probably would have helped this character out, but unfortunately they didn't show it, so it just made this character seem so stupid to me. A lot of his reasoning, like I went throughout his entirety of the review of that particular arc saying that I particularly don't like Overhaul. Like I actually went out. I think on the first episode he showed up. I literally went out there and said I don't like Overhaul. Maybe my decision will
Mhm.
change as I watch the series, and it didn't change. If
I
anything,
didn't hate overall, but I think he was a wasted character. I didn't think he was used very well.
I don't know how you could use a character any more than they just did him right there. I mean, he didn't seem like there was anything beyond him just wanting to help out his paralyzed father. And even
But we
that
never
didn't even
really, the
seem.
story never really came to into flesh. His relationship with Eri was very, very superficial. His relationship with his father was very superficial and undeveloped. The conflict between him and Deku was sort of an afterthought. It was like, oh well, everybody else fought him. I guess Deku can fight him now. But if like it, there was no back to the wall feeling about it. It was like this guy. If he beats Deku or Deku gets away, like he's just gonna leave. Like he's already cut his loss, and the series runs on. So like what was up in the air for conflict wise in that arc was like, do we stop him now or does he crawl back into the underworld and go through more effort to catch him? You know what I mean? But it wasn't like they were gonna catch him. It was just like this guy's gonna get away, and if he does, it's a pretty big deal. So we need to stop him. Deku got out there and stopped him, but like they accomplished everything else they were trying to accomplish. They had all the villains were taken down, like all of the um, stuff was taken down, but at the same time they had set up such a good story to build up. Like if he should have gotten away, he should have like rebuilt, he should have like continued his work like with his research with what he still had because he could have still had something. Like Eri could have been the key to like finding him because she would have known him and she would have known how his underworld works and she's a good guy. They could have like explored like the consequences of things. They could have created a situation where they needed to find out how to reverse Eri's power as soon as possible, and there was more pressure to bring Eri to a situation where she needed to help work with them and get a hold of her quirk because like every time this guy shot somebody they lost their quirk and pro heroes were dropping like flies and they just really needed her help but she like was stressed out about it because she didn't know what to do and Deku turned out to be like his arch enemy because like Deku stood up to him and almost beat him and he had to get away, you know what I mean, and Deku also like was the one of the last men standing in the raid in the first place, which means shows that he's tenacious and resourceful. There was a lot of things they could have done there. You know what I mean? They could have built on Eraserhead's like feeling like parental feelings towards Deku and built a relationship between the two of them where Eraserhead was like, I gotta stay near him because I'm the only one that can protect him. Like that could have been built up and he could have become like a secondary father figure to Deku and there could have maybe created mixed feelings between an increased rivalry between Eraserhead and All Might, you know what I mean, who's his real father figure right now. And, you know, All Might seeing him and like understanding why it was happening, understanding that it was for Deku's better good, but also kind of feeling, hey, you know, I was his mentor. What the hell? Now that's his mentor, you know? And they could have like it could have built up some like those kind of hinted at mixed feelings the two had for each other in the first place in the first season. They often hinted that those two weren't best friends by any means, you know. And like there was just a lot of stuff they could have done to build that up and to create like a really cool arc with Decker center of it. You know what I mean? And like all sorts of story elements. But instead he like dies like a dog in the street, you know, when the other team takes him out, who doesn't even end up seemingly to do very much after that happens. You know what I mean? They're like, haha, I got you, we got a revenge. And he turns out to be kind of the rival of the good guys in the series. But both the good guys and the bad guys win. So it's sort of just all it really amounted to was like showing that the two of them had their own agendas.
Hello?
I swear to God, if you didn't hear all that,
I heard a good chunk of it and get cut out for the last couple, like 5 seconds.
Okay, just the 5 seconds. I'm still here.
No, no, what I like, I got all of that, but at the same time, from the way you're making it sound, you sound like they had like you sound like they're not gonna build on a lot of stuff. I mean, leaving Chisaki, picking him overhaul out of all these beats can still happen. It's not like they had to be dealt with here. It's like what I'm saying.
Isn't
It's like
Overhaul
did,
dead?
no, he's still alive.
No.
They put him in jail.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, I couldn't remember. Sorry.
Like he never died. He's still out there. He just doesn't have his hands anymore.
Well, yeah. So he's not going to be great.
You never know. He could come back. I mean, Stain's in jail right now, and we don't know if he's gonna come back or not. Um,
Yeah, and All Might's in jail, but like not having your hands are useful just for anybody anyway.
and also that whole that whole like his that medicine whatever, you like I feel like it's still gonna be a big deal because Shigaraki's got it now. He literally after he took his hands, he literally took the last couple bullets. And if
Mm-hmm.
anything, as I said before, he's growing and it's scary because before he was just this little kid out there who had lots of toys and didn't know how to use them. And
Mm-hmm.
as he got antagonized, and specifically by Deku, All Might, and then now this other Overhaul dude, he was antagonized like 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
And it took Overhaul and also him losing his master to see some actual growth out of him. He we don't know what he's doing right now. We know he got those bullets. That's a very scary thought. So that whole like Eri having to figure out how to use the powers and it becoming a big deal could still happen.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's one of those things where guys they laid the seed at this point. Chisaki, I mean, I think maybe the whole point was that those bullets are supposed to be given to the Shigaraki. I think that was the whole point of Overhaul being there. He was supposed to be this over the top wise guy who seemed like he had all his ducks in a row, but he didn't know more or even have any more than Shigaraki did. But I think he
Mm-hmm.
needed to get Shigaraki to believe that he had more on him than he did. And I think Shigaraki at some point probably figured out that no, he didn't. I got more on him
Yeah.
because he needs my help. So it's one of those things where I think like there was some small in there that we didn't see that will essentially probably get some like really long exposition about at some point in the future.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but I will say that Shigaraki becoming competent is a scary thought because before you talked about how like some villains like Gentle is like this one of those weird dudes that doesn't seem to have any competence. That was Shigaraki
Mm-hmm.
before, and now he's not like all for one status. I'm not gonna say that, but he's growing now. He is now he's starting to think, and that was one
Right.
thing that All for One was trying to get him to do, but he refused.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of those things where like, the thought that Shigaraki is out there somewhere with those bullets is a scary thought.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if anything, I want to see that culminate into something. I could care less of an overhaul. I mean, and maybe you're more invested in him than I thought you were, and that's kind of why you say you had those problems with him, which I can understand. But I'm not that all that invested in him. So any
I'm
role,
invested in My Hero Academia, and I was ready to be excited about him. And like I said, all of the things I named, you know what I mean? They can survive in somebody else, but I feel like they would have been really good in that character, but they kind of wiped the character out for the most part, and I just don't like not all of those things. You know what I mean? There was a lot of stuff I mentioned there that like they can't carry on. They can save some of it, but like I just think after all that build up and making him such a badass, that as an audience of the show, I feel let down. Like next time they build somebody up, I'm going to be more skeptical. You know?
well, I guess to feed into that whole thing, I'm not gonna sit here and lie saying that I didn't feel this arc was short because I definitely did.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't really here. It was more in the manga because everything culminated so fast. And I already
Mm-hmm.
mentioned this a lot of times too. I couldn't tell what was happening when I was reading it. and I
Okay.
truly do mean that. And you know where it happened the most was when Chase was using his powers. I don't understand what the author's obsession with using a lot of black was, but anytime he used his powers, there was like just a bunch of like really dark structures that were just all over the freaking place. Clearly, he
Yeah.
was making spikes, but I could see that here more than I could see it in his manga. And I think it has a lot to do with the fact that manga is black and white. So I guess it has a lot to do, but I would say that I think even in shows like Dragon Ball Z, like fights that were ridiculously fast, I could still follow them.
Mhm.
Really powerful characters, I could still follow them. Just when I just couldn't figure out what was happening, and um, that's what I'm saying. I don't really have like, I like this season more than you did, and that's your right. Like
Mhm.
this is your objective viewing. I have no bearing on. I'm like I'm just not me. This is not me apologizing. I'm just saying that I liked it and you didn't, and that's just how that really works. Everybody's gonna have their own
Mhm.
opinions about certain things. I just enjoyed it for what I saw. I was more invested in this season because I already read it for the most part, and I
Mhm.
had a good understanding of what was happening. So I enjoyed reading it. I I wouldn't say I enjoyed reading it more than I watched it. Cause I love the action. I love the fight with him and Overhaul. I wasn't expecting that much like budget to go in there. It definitely did.
Mhm.
The anime had to work off of what the material was. This wasn't just something that was like randomly sparred out in the animator's head. This was on paper how it was going to happen.
Right.
So like it ended abruptly, and a lot of people even brought up the fact that it definitely ended abruptly. So you're not the only one saying that Overhaul was kind of cut short. Um,
Mhm.
it's like I'm gonna acknowledge the fact that yeah, you're right. I think Overhaul should have had more screen time. However, he was gonna get that, I don't really know. Considering that, like, for some reason, they were building him up to be this analytical dude, and then at the end of it all, when they managed to get into his hideout, was when all that went out the window. Like he literally started panicking. Uh,
Mhm.
so it was one of those things where I think maybe the panicking part
So
of
he
him.
knew that he was being hunted.
Yeah, but
He
I think
knew
what
to
he
prepare
specifically
for it.
stated. No, but I think what he specifically stated that he wasn't expecting them to get here so fast. I think maybe
Right.
I think what he expected was that maybe it was going to be another month or a year before he was found out, and by that point he was going to have everything he needed, to, all the ducks in a row to do what he needed to do. To me, it seemed like
Mhm.
he wasn't all that much in a rush. It wasn't until he was found out that he started getting a rush. So
I mean, but also like, what the hell? Like his headquarters was like in the middle of like what, like a suburb?
I mean, yeah, it was in the basement of an apartment complex, but I said before,
Yeah.
nobody could find him. I mean, nobody could find him because like he kept that he kept all that undercover until he let some really bad lackey out to buy the girl a doll. Should have known
Mhm.
better than that, but I mean, whatever. It's like one of those things where like I think what really was really bad about his character was the fact that
Mhm.
we saw him start panicking, and we never saw him do that before. Like
Right.
right when he was found out where his headquarters was being raided, he never showed a sign of panic at
Right.
all. He was pretty much in control. He knew what he was doing. The moment that they found where his hideout was, he panicked. So at the end of the day, maybe they wrote that differently. Maybe we saw some hints that he could actually get worried. Um, Up to this point, would have probably made that whole scene turn out a lot better. But unfortunately, because there was not, I mean, you have to work what you're given.
Right.
He ultimately failed because he panicked, and that I guess that's it for that. I mean, could have done more with them, sure. Do I want them to do more with them? Not really. I already stated my feelings of the character. I mean, nothing you could do, nothing you could like. I'm already set on how I feel about him, and that's just how I feel. I mean, granted, like if it could have done more, yeah. But what I've enjoyed watching it, not really.
Well, I think they would have, if they were doing more with him, they,
You kind of cut out there. Sorry.
if they were doing more with him, they would have also had to do it a little bit differently.
I get that, but at the same time, I feel like my feelings on him wouldn't have changed. Like
Mhm.
he It's not like how Stain started out. Like we had all this philosophy spurted out. We had all this reasoning for why he was doing what he was doing. We got
Hmm.
reasoning from him, but it wasn't the reasoning that would make me feel sympathy, feel bad, feel like he like there's more to him.
Hmm.
I couldn't get that. And from all the little tidbits we know of him, and if he did spread that out, it would have just taken
Right.
me longer to that. It would have just taken me longer to that conclusion. Um, he. I think I'm more. I think I'm more like burned on him because of all the hype. Like I expected something completely different than what I got,
Hmm.
and unfortunately, that was my fault. Hey, like I mean that happens to everybody. But like, I really don't like the character. The only place I would probably like him is in the video game. I think it's the only place I would like him.
Hmm.
So it's like I mean, if they had given him more of like overhaul, you probably would have maybe had your own decision based on the different differences. But I already kind of made my decision, and I'm standing on it. Like, unless he would have come back and do something incredibly badass, I honestly wouldn't. My opinion on him wouldn't change. Like he would have to do
Right.
something so great that like it would shift the entire series on its head for my opinion on him to change. Like I've already heard too much on the outside about this character, and it didn't live up to anything I heard. So that's like what it comes down to for me.
Right.
I mean, I say I like the season, and I do like the season. I still don't like Chisaki. If anything, he is a bad side to this entire season. Is like I really thought they're gonna do more with them because they have more creative liberty.
Hmm.
But they stuck to the script, and that's all I can really say. Chisaki lived and died where he stood. Well, not really died. He went to jail, but you get the point.
Right. All
If that's
right.
me being harsh, I don't really know.
I think I need to run soon. I've got to get up early for a cardiologist visit. It's 8 a.m. appointment.
Well, nobody need to know that. We're gonna end this off on that subject. Hopefully we'll come back and Jock will still be able with us. If he's not, we'll be having a eulogy in his honor.
I got the heart virus, and if I go Super Saiyan, it's going to get worse.
Bye, guys.